Hello, hello. It's been a while since our last videos, but we just wanted to put together a concept of where we see software and applications and systems going in general. And we're working with a lot of clients on these concepts, so we decided to share it. So together we put together this concept of HubSpot GPT. So HubSpot obviously is a CRM, and traditionally you go in, you look at the dashboards, you go to the data, and you're very focused on on a data perspective, on a information perspective. ChatGPT has really changed the paradigm about how we think about software, how we think about CRM, how we think about agents and assistants. So, the idea is that with the new paradigms, we're seeing that agents have the ability to code, to integrate, but most important, the ability to research, the ability to focus on a strategic level, which other CRMs are not really doing. They're not really thinking on the level of strategy, talking to your software, talking to your application, and allowing it to combine data from different sources, combine data from different systems, analyze information from a variety of sources. And personally, I find, using heavily on ChatGPT and other AI models, Gemini and Claude and other kind of models, using them more and more for rationalizing my thinking, to act like the devil's advocate, to simulate behavior before it's actually happened. And not only that, to create autonomous structure. So when I mean autonomous, I mean being able to program your AI like you're talking to ChatGPT, but not just for the now, but for the future. Monitoring information, providing feedback, being proactive, communicating to your clients, and all those different aspects is where software itself's heading. And the CRMs traditionally being such data focused thing is hard for humans find it difficult to absorb just information, where the AI really is much better at consuming information, making conclusions, but with you on the driving end. So we see things, you know could you imagine, you hook in your ChatGPT and you can talk to your HubSpot, you can talk to your uh, financial accounting tools. You can talk to this, you can pull in the data, aggregate it, analyze it, and tell your ChatGPT to, hey, can you research this? Can you follow up this? There's all these different scenarios which are now empowered by all these AI models, and they go well beyond the standard CRM and ERPs that are out there. So let's take a look at some of the concepts. So, we've got this. So, you know, OpenAI from the UI point doesn't hook into HubSpot, but you have a feature called tooling, which really has the ability to hook in to all your systems. It's able to read the HubSpot APIs. It's able to automatically create calls to your HubSpot, and not just HubSpot, but any tool that has an API structure where you can create keys and tokens or authentication to log in. So, what would a future look like? So, let's say I'm an executive. I'm just, or I'm a person and I just want to know what's happening. So we can simply go, hey, can you show me the last 10 um, sold deals? So we can just go ahead and we can ask OpenAI into talking straight to HubSpot to perform the analysis for you. Boom. There we go. We have our latest deal, obviously hooked into dummy data, but it's pulling back the information that we need, so we don't need anything. Um, but I can just control it here. So I'm thinking, well, these are my top 10 deals. Um, what seems to be the most popular industries in the last quarter. So now we're looking at strategic things. So, we're asking the AI not just to pull back data, but we're asking it to start analyzing and start giving us information about the data that we have on our system, given that it can read into the data and pull back the data. And we can combine it with industry data. Um, so how does that compare to um, trends, to market trends via Google Trends? So now we're starting to make comparisons with our data and we're bringing it into a live environment. So we could be looking at, ads or Google Trends um, or other markets. So now it's saying, okay, these are the consistence and performance. And obviously the objective is not to look at what's actually coming out, but the objectives here. So imagine this, we're interacting with this information. Um, But here we have the ability to do things like, as you've seen with ChatGPT, we can start integrating things like charts, create me a chart, create me a diagram, combine my data. How does my growth compare to growth of, if there's an open source growth? Uh, so we're now seeing the UI and interaction within the ChatGPT. And you're already seeing that in ChatGPT, but with an integration into tools like HubSpot or other CRMs, we'll be able to see that information all from a dialogue. So we don't have to go from all the screens across HubSpot and find the reports and the list. No, we can do it here. But what else can we do? So let's say that, okay, based on the trend of, let's say, environment, can you create me a list in HubSpot? Um, can you create me a list in HubSpot that captures all the people based on the industry filled in contacts? So now we're going to the next level. We're taking a look, we're analyzing, and now we don't even need to go to HubSpot. We can tell the system uh, to go ahead and start creating fields in HubSpot and start building out features in the HubSpot without even looking in the fields. Um, so in this case, it's telling me instructions, but let's give a more direct example. Please add a field on contacts called um, is top industry with a drop down of yes and no. So let's say that, that's the theory that, okay, we want to look at top industry contacts only. Let's start creating that filter and let's get the AI. So here we said, okay, great. It's added it. It's done a drop down. It's given me yes, no solution. Perfect. So now we have that new filter, a new contract, custom attribute on our contact that we can now use. And the system's gone and done this without any human interaction, without the need of going to the settings, the attributes, the custom property, add custom property, set the name, set the computation name, select drop down, and add yes and no. Okay, so it's not hard, but there's many steps that needs to be done. Where here we're just instructing the ChatGPT to go ahead and do it. So having that empowerment to start performing strategy analysis and different components from a single chat window is most likely the direction for that. But not only that is, imagine this, let's say you are the head of marketing and you want to create a strategy. So like in ChatGPT, we would be having the navigation here. So we would be able to add in um, project name, marketing strategy. So here we're performing the analysis, we're getting the AI to do the decisions, we're getting it to do to do updates, to fetch data, and develop strategy for us. So we're still in the driving seat, but we're all controlling our thinking and our data become one in the same application. So you have your head of marketing doing that. You have your project for the sales. You have your core KPI. But now also the beauty is because each of those projects become assistants, they can also talk to each other. So we call the operation of revops. Revop is the alignment of marketing, sales, customer success together. But imagine this, like you're trying to align it, or you have a whole role to align it, but now if you're creating your strategy within an area and we're not losing the dialogue, we're not losing that marketing plan and the reason why, we can justify those things against each other. So let's say I had a project, marketing, sales, customer success, and RevOps. So I could be asking, okay, RevOps, my company KPI is to growth. It's not the gross profit, it's revenue. I just care about increasing revenue. And that's my ultimate goal for the next 3 years to get into position for my company to be acquired, right? That's a theoretical one. So it can go into the marketing, go into the sales, and say, does this strategies that you've created align to where we're going with the RevOps? So that's a beautiful way of getting a lot of intelligent people not losing their intelligence and a way for those intelligent peoples to assist each other. And the overall strategy we can say is types of agents. So an agent can be many things, agentic workflows, agents. So in this case, agents can be something that's singular in the sense of communication, chat, and acting as a virtual person is a type of agent. When we talk about agentic workflow or autonomous agents, now we're talking about how to execute something over long terms. So here we're asking something. So let's say I come up with a content strategy, and I want to stay on top of trends, competitors, and things that occur in the industry. But I'm not going to spend all my time sitting there on the internet waiting for alerts and waiting for information. So this is where you can start setting up agents which are off doing research, agents which are looking at information, agents which are creating content or information strategies, agents which are talking to people, and they get into the agentic workflow. So here we have, the standard dialogue, we have our agentic workflow, and here we've also included the human workflow for things that the AI cannot do. Because as we see software moving to a place where education and rationale become the same thing, becomes the same tool, the ability to human tasks will also become part of the workflow. So more of a, are you going to hire a developer or is the AI going to provide instructions to a human to do certain actions? So, for example, HubSpot's API to the workflow is generally a very weak API. So you still need the human flow in there. So you don't need to lose the momentum. You can start getting the AI to control the task, develop the task, understand how the task is going to be tested, how the task is going to be delivered, and start assigning that to human involvement. And we've seen that already with Amazon Turk, I believe it's called, and other services where the human becomes part of the process, but it's controlled by AI rather than being controlled manually. So as you want to develop your strategy, okay, I need to do assets or design or interaction on my HubSpot, this all can become from a single system and being controlled by all those aspects. So I just wanted to share that. And as you see, like you can see doing analysis, doing things, and if you've used ChatGPT, then you can see that it does charts and diagrams. And one of the things I think it does very beautifully as well is the ability to code. So the software like this will extend itself. If we represent perceptual graphs, if we want to represent bar charts, we want to introduce different maths and formulas that aren't in the core system, tools like this will create it themselves. Like they'll create their own visual components for you to look at, to interact with within a chat field. And that's really exciting. So one aspect that I've used is something like BPMN. When the HubSpot workflow is very limited, introducing BPMN will allow for very complex event-driven style of workflows, and escalations and subroutines, which is not supported by HubSpot on that level of complexity. And that's intentional because HubSpot's targeted at the sales and marketing and basic operations, where things like workflow engines such as Camunda and BPMN are things that excel at complex workflows and microservices. So being able to incorporate that all into one application gives you a lot of power. And it's not necessarily the ChatGPT doing all the work or the HubSpot GPT in this case. It's the combination of all the things using what we say is the heuristic. So anything that exists, models that exist, programs that exist, something that does the job well should do the job. So there's a process of strategy and decision. You should use that. When something doesn't really exist, the AI can attempt to create it, especially when it comes down to fuzzy logic and logic which is not well defined. Um, and then you can combine those two. So you're making a strategy, you're using either AI, using heuristics, or you're doing something that that you've built or exists already. So that's combining different technologies and taking advantage of different technologies together. So this is really just a summary of how we see like all these systems going, and having tools like this. And I talked about sales, marketing, customer success, revops, all those agents. When you create an assistant, you're creating those assistants, you're creating strategy, and then those strategies assistants can then talk to each other to see if they're aligned. But also we can potentially talk to third party assistants. So let's say you have a sister company, or you have there's a industrial recommendations or best practices. So now we can start look at how your strategy is aligning with best practices or other aspects of information. So it's really a fantastic approach. So this is where we can see the technology going. There's a lot of tools being built very, very quickly, but overall, like as these tools are being built, simplicity is overwhelmingly becoming the stronger tool over something with a lot of interfaces and UIs. So just wanted to share that. Love to see your any comments or feedbacks about that idea. If you're interested in trying out trying out our HubSpot GPT, feel free to contact us and we can set you up a demo.